Have you ever survived an incident that left you reeling in shock because you just couldn't believe it? Well, a fair amount of the world's population has had their share of brushes with death, but some stand out so much more than others. From a young man whose reflex skills were just in time to save him from being crushed by trees, to another that came out alive from the bottom of a crushed bus, here are 15 people who survived the impossible. Before we dive into this list, make sure to leave a like on this video. Also, if you'd like to join this month's Star 5 giveaway of a brand new iPhone 13, then all you have to do is subscribe to our channel and watch this video until the end to find and comment the hidden message. Good luck! Number 15. Celia's Victoria. On Easter Sunday in 2015, Celia's Victoria, who was an experienced skydiver and had gone on many successful skydiving trips over the years, went on one that turned out to be much different from what she'd expected. She had no idea that her husband, Emily, had perfected a plan to sabotage her parachute. She tried to make a safe landing during the skydiving event, but realized that the vital component to make this happen was missing. At this point, Celia's realized that her parachute was unstable and the backup parachute was not in the picture either. She crash landed, and any other person wouldn't have survived such an accident, but by a stroke of luck, she did. Eventually, the police realized that Emily was having an affair and needed to kill Celia's for her life insurance policy. Number 14. Flores' daughter. Everyone who witnessed the incident that involved a father and his daughter had shock written all over their faces. In September 2019, a 45-year-old man showed up at a subway station in New York City walking alongside his little 5-year-old daughter. This man, Flores, surprised the crowd by jumping onto the track just as a train approached. However, despite the fact that he pulled his young daughter with him, she surprisingly survived. Unfortunately, the train crushed Flores and killed him instantly. Eventually, rescuers were able to convince the little girl to crawl her way out from under the subway, where she was carried to safety. Number 13. Cooper Ron. No matter how experienced you are in driving, this event made us know that what we see as the impossible can become possible. In 2014, this driver was caught in what looked like a crazy storm along the highways in Melbourne. His dashcam footage showed as he went into a crazy battle with trees moving crazily from side to side, until several of them fell directly in front of his car. Luckily for Cooper, his reflex skills went into overdrive, and his car missed the trees by a few inches. The good news is that other vehicles were also able to stop just in time to avoid several casualties. Number 12. The Man in the Dam. At first glance, this looks like a man who fell into a 200-feet dam, and that's definitely scary. Do you know anyone that could survive such a fall without sustaining huge injuries? Well, this happened in November 2020, and the clip shows someone who fell into the Monticello Dam in California. At first, he was being used by his friend as a form of support, but instead falls into the dam right before the video ended. The good news is that things are not as they seem, and this man survived the fall. Turns out that this dam is actually the Sapua Dam in India, and the fall wasn't as scary as it looks. This dam, which is just about 8 feet tall, is a popular spot for fun activities like swimming, sightseeing, and camping. Number 11. A Mother's Luck. There's almost nothing as refreshing as relaxing at the poolside with an interesting book, or at least that was what this mother thought. In July 2020, a mother living in Georgia got the exact opposite of this while casually resting beside a pool with her kids. She suddenly heard her son shouting and went out to check the reason for this. However, just at that moment, a massive tree smashed where she had been just a few seconds earlier. If she'd been just a second late, this mother would have been crushed by the falling tree. Number 10. Charles Letter William and Son. Getting caught in a storm could be terrifying, and it sure was for this family. In 2017, Charles Letter William and her son Ricky were busy watching a program on TV when they suddenly heard a loud storm approaching. Immediately, Ricky assisted his mother up the stairs to hide in their bathtub, which was considered one of the safest places during natural disasters like a tornado. The storm ripped out the roof of their home, but the tub remained strong, which was quite unbelievable. The tornado lifted them in the air alongside other pieces of furniture, until they made it back to the ground safely with only a few bruises and cuts, to remind them of such a terrifying moment. Number 9. Man attacked by a boulder. The city of Taiwan is famous for its surroundings, with their tall trees and amazing views, but this driver was definitely not in the mood to enjoy its amazing views. In August 2013, this beautiful scenery turned into a deadly trap due to a stormy weather at the time. The driver was moving on the road when a rush of debris hit the vehicle seemingly out of nowhere. This forced the man to move his car to the side. However, that was not all. A few minutes later, a massive boulder ran into the road and landed precisely where his car was just before the debris rush. Well, thank you, Mother Nature. Number 8. Smith Simon. Smith Simon was on his way home from the bank when he got the shock of his life. The 53-year-old man was walking along the road in the early hours of that day when his narrow brush with death was captured on a nearby CCTV camera. While Simon was crossing the road, a bus that had lost control came out from nowhere and hit the unlucky man just as it grazed the side of nearby buildings. To the shock of everyone watching, Smith immediately stood up and ran into a pub called the Purple Turtle Bar. Surprisingly, he survived with just a few cuts and bruises. Number 7. Hablia Abu Abdullah. In October 2020, an Arab engineer, Hablia Abu Abdullah, experienced one moment that he would never forget, even in a million years. The man was walking to his car, which he'd driven into a parking lot earlier, when the entire structure caved in on him. He must have realized that something was wrong and immediately changed his direction to run back up the stairs. Hablia must have been happy that he paid attention to his instincts just in time to survive the floors and roof from crushing him. Definitely a narrow escape that's worth talking about. Number 6. Jelani Reyes Craig. The 28-year-old Jelani Reyes Craig was involved in a ghastly accident with his sports car in September 2019. A huge truck crashed into his sports car, crushing it under the weight of its massive body. Anyone that had a glimpse at this event, including the fire department, concluded that this looked too scary for anyone to have survived. However, to everyone's surprise, Jelani made it out of his crushed sports car, and how was he able to do it? Well, the brave man cut his seatbelt just in time to free himself from the driver's spot and moved over to the passenger seat instead. All that Jelani got from this freak accident were a missing tooth and a little cut on his hand when he tried to remove the seatbelt. Number 5. Casey Wagner. They say lightning doesn't hit a spot twice, but Casey Wagner might disagree with you. The 31-year-old man was in Texas in October 2013 for an off-road event when he noticed the clouds getting grey and various signs that it was about to rain. Quickly, Casey decided to seek shelter under a tree while waiting for his friend who went out quickly. Unfortunately, he had no idea that this move would have cost him his life as he was struck by lightning. He noticed the strikes on the tree too late and was already in the air before he could catch his breath. Lightning hit him a second time and he was almost helpless. Luckily, a nurse passing by gave him first aid treatment before the paramedics arrived. Even the doctors were surprised that Casey had survived being struck by lightning twice. Number 4. Taylor the motorcyclist. This motorcyclist named Taylor was hit by a speeding car with so much force that the motorcycle flipped in the air. The year was 2015 in San Francisco, and the car's driver ignored the red light, which led to a brutal accident at the intersection. Luckily, Taylor was in his full protective gear, which kept him safe despite the sorry state of his motorcycle. Number 3. Nissan driver. If you're familiar with how the Grim Reaper works in the movie Final Destination, you'll definitely find this scenario familiar. An unnamed driver in a Nissan Xterra 2003 had a shocking brush with death in October 2019 when he came face to face with attacking logs in Georgia. He reached down just in time for a cup of coffee when a truck full of logs in front of his car sent those logs flying at his windscreen. By some weird stroke of luck, this driver survived. Number 2. Rui Mahamudza. A South African football player, Rui Mahamudza, was involved in one of the worst car accidents in history in March 2014. The player was driving along the highway when his car lost control because of the wet road. His vehicle was stabbed by a guardrail at the end of the road, and this passed through the windscreen of Rui's car. Shocking, it missed the player by a few inches and he escaped without any injuries. Number 1. Driver on Chongqing Road. Surviving something like this has left witnesses asking lots of questions with almost no answers to them. This unnamed driver was moving along the Chongqing Road when a massive blade came swinging out of nowhere. The police later revealed when they arrived on the scene that a truck had been crushed a few miles away, and the blade was what came hurtling towards the unnamed driver. He survived this incident unharmed, but we can't say the same about his car. And that's a wrap for today, guys. Have you ever survived the impossible? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. And don't forget to turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video from Star 5. Thanks for watching.